today we're going to go over cross sections. Okay, so to have a cross section, you need a 3D object, and then it will be sliced or cut by some 2D object, and it will create another shape for you. Okay? So the first type of cuts that we're going to go over are strictly our vertical or our horizontal cuts. Okay? So again, when I ask what's the cross section, I want to know what shape will you get when you make this type of cut. Okay? So we're just going to focus right now on this specific 3D object, which is a pyramid. Okay? So a rectangular pyramid I'll just give you. If I do a vertical cut, that means from that top point I am slicing it right through. Okay? So if you can imagine a cake made like a pyramid, right? And if you were to cut it directly down the middle, okay, right from that point, we want to know what shape would be our main focus then. So if I slice this, okay, where I, cut it and then break it in half and like turn it open, what you're gonna see, as this still continues to move down, okay, as it's cutting through, notice you'll still have, like I'll do that back part of it. So this line, okay, and then it's going to keep going this way, right? But then all of a sudden it's going to be cut now in half, okay, and it's coming up now, okay, to this new shape, which is going to look like a trapezoid, okay, because I'm slicing it. So that vertical cut, when you open it up, would give you a trapezoid. That's any time you do a rectangular prism, okay, pyramid. The next one is when we look at a horizontal. So if you're taking a horizontal cut, you're like karate chopping it out this way. You are cutting off that top part, right? So if you cut off this top part, notice this point is gone. You see now how it's like still extending through here? And this is my new shape right here, which is that rectangle. Anytime you're going to make a horizontal cut, that shape is going to be of the base. Okay? So those are the old terms, horizontal and vertical. The other terms that we're going to focus on are the ones that we've learned this year in geometry. If something is horizontal, and here's my two streets like this, they're horizontal to each other, they're not touching, they're going to be parallel. So this is what we would call a parallel cut. Whereas my vertical, I'm already flat and I'm cutting it this way. See that upside down T? This is perpendicular. Okay, so your basic ones will use the vertical and horizontal. That's going to be the first set. And then as you continue to move throughout, you're going to have to either cut it parallel to the base, perpendicular to the base, or on a diagonal. Okay. Again, parallel. Let's take a look at what happens. So if it is parallel to the base, and first one I use is a cone. Okay, this is my cone. So if I'm going to do a cross section by slicing it parallel to the base, do you see how I am chopping it right here? Again, here is the base in green. Okay, here's my base. That's a circle. I'm going to cut it parallel. That means I'm slicing it right here, okay? So there's where that slice is kind of going through. You can imagine, right? Slicing it here. So as I'm doing that, if you think of, an ice cream cone and you were just to break off that top part, and then you look at it, what shape do you think you're going to see? It's going to be a circle. Okay, so you're going to see the circle. So for a cone, that cross section is a circle. Again, this is the same type as that we saw earlier. This is a pyramid. So my pyramid in this case, it's either, this one is either a rectangle or a square, right? There's my base. Okay? And again, if I'm going to take that horizontal, that parallel cut right here, slicing it right here, you can also envision it just by literally taking it it off, right? That's the same thing as cutting it. Do you see how we just cut it in half by, I mean, not even in half, I just cut it parallel to it. And then if I were to connect these lines right here, you see what shape I have on top now? Do you see that? All right, it's smaller than the one on the bottom, but it still is the same shape. Okay, so that one's gonna give me a rectangle. So that pyramid will give me a rectangle cross section. All right, that's how I want you to kind of envision it. Let's take a look at a perpendicular. All right, remember a perpendicular, that's our symbol right there. So when we cut something perpendicular, we are doing that vertical cut. Right? The first one we have is a cone. So what's different here is when I do a perpendicular cut of a cone, I am coming through this top part, right? And I am going right through the center of that circle, that base. So we think of our cone as opening up. And what's going to happen is we're going to get a couple different things here. Okay, so I'm going to, erase this half so you can actually try and visualize it a little bit better. So that was my cut, right? Now, you can only see this from that side angle, right? So if I try to turn it around, or in your head, if you've ever seen, like a cone sliced in half vertically, you'll notice like it's got that little circular part to it, right? So it's got on this back part, that would be the semicircle, right? And then it's starting to come up somehow, right? So it's like a little bit, but it's more, rounded type of cone, just to try to give you a better idea, okay? So when we look at the shapes that we see there, okay, we see a pretty nice shape at the beginning, right? Can everybody see this in blue? This is a triangle. So you can see the triangle, that's one of them. So the cone will give you first a triangle. That's our nice shape. The second one, unfortunately, we don't really have a name for it, okay? Because it's not as normal as like a rectangle, a square, a circle, a triangle, a pentagon, anything like that, okay? Instead, we see some curves, okay? So do you see how like it's kind of curving around here, right? You can imagine those curves. So you see we have, a shape with two edges, right? So we have a shape with two edges. Now, here's the thing. One of the edges is straight, while the other one is curved. Okay, so one straight and one curved. That's our second shape that we see. That's the weird one there. Let's go and check out our pyramid again. Okay. So again, with this pyramid, perpendicular to the base. Okay. So perpendicular is going right through it. So if I'm going to, make this cut right through it, let me do that one in green, like I did. It's going to go right through here, okay, into this part, right? That's the part that I'm cutting off. I'm going to take that front part off so that way then you can imagine it a little bit better. So by this side, goodbye here. Okay. So there we have it. Now our new shape. I'm going to get rid of the green here. So if I connect it, here we go. And you can kind of imagine what's happening here. Now we have like this wall almost coming up, right? With this wall as well, into this little flat part. Okay. So we did, we talked about this piece a little bit earlier, how this shape right here, the two parallel, okay, That's your trapezoid. This one also will produce two shapes, okay? So we have our pyramid. One of them is that trapezoid. You can kind of see there, okay? The second one is a triangle. So again, you know, my hand might have covered it up, so let me show you. Here is the triangle, right here. Okay. Remember how it went up to that point? And then, if you can kind of see, the trapezoid as the base. So the trapezoid, we have these two pieces right there that were parallel, right? And then these guys connecting it as well. Right? There's your trapezoid and your triangle. The last type of cut here is going to be a diagonal cut. So remember, the diagonal, that'd be like your hypotenuse of that triangle, the diagonal going that way, slicing it down, like, oh. So if we look at a cube, okay, first thing that we think about for a cube, when I'm gonna slice it, you know, I'm just gonna go from one corner to the other, okay, opposite. So I go from like here to here and slice it that way, okay? So if I do that, I can take off the bottom part here. Okay. Here's this whole part is gone, okay? Now, it might be a little bit harder to imagine this one, okay? Maybe not. Maybe you can kind of see it almost looks like a triangular prism, right? See that? So, it's that triangular prism. Hence, the shape that we're going to see here is a triangle. Okay? So on that diagonal, that's what you're going to see. Okay? You see how we see this triangle here? We also see the rectangles. Okay? So the main one here is that triangle. That's what you're going to get on that cross. Okay? And then our last shape that we're going to look at is our lovely cone. Okay? So if I look at this cone, same thing, I'm gonna cut this, like that diagonal, okay? Maybe it looks like that. Okay, this is the weird one. So when I erase that part, really gonna have to try and imagine it. Here's this part is gone, okay? Remember, this was circular, so now, like underneath it, you're still gonna see that little curve to it, okay? That part, you know, like I'm trying to flip it up for you. This cut is going to create an oval. In the math world, we call that an ellipse. Okay? So that will give you an ellipsis. And an ellipse is an oval. Right? This happens as well with a cylinder. If you cut a cylinder, you know, here's my cylinder, right? If I take this and I slice it diagonally, this same thing will occur, okay? This will then change into that oval on top, okay? So if you imagine it, you know, if you do, here's your cylinder, you do a parallel cut, that would just be like cutting off this part, right? You would have this circle here, okay? But if you take it on like a slant, it's gonna cut it this way, it's gonna create an oval, just like a cone. All right. So that's your cross sections.